nani semeni aponyaye roho yangu na kunipa raha kamili. Ni nani semeni unshindiaye shetani. I can sing, right? You know the lyrics to the song, yes? Good morning from where you're listening from, and it's my hope and prayer that God has kept you in good health and faith. I am Michael Ogumbe, and this is my podcast, Morning Glory by Michael Ogumbe. And today I shall be telling you of a story that resonates with the fights that we are fighting. That vengeance is of the Lord and not yours. This is a story of David and Abigail, and is found in 1 Samuel chapter 25. David was known to be fleeing, and he was fleeing from Saul. Saul, who had made it his job now to go after David because he saw that his kingdom was at stake if David was alive, because it was evident that he was anointed for it. And so David used to flee, and you know, these David and Saul were prominent figures back then. This was politics at its best, because Saul was the king and David was like the opposition leader as such. You see, it's just like the current situation that we are divided politically, where people have allegiances to ODM, other UDA, other Kenya Kwanza, other one term, two term, no term, long term, you see. And so this was what was being displayed in this particular time. And so David had fled from Saul and had gone to a place that is called Paran, you see. And there was a man in Moab whose business was in camel. The man was very rich. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. He was sharing his sheep in camel. Now the name of the man was Nabal. And Nabal, the meaning of Nabal's name is found in verses 25. The wife describes him. Let not my Lord regard this worthless fellow Nabal, for his name is, so he is. Nabal, his name, and folly is with him, you see. And so think of this. David had been guiding this man's camel and sheep as the shepherds were shepherding them, you know, when he was in Paran, and Paran is a hilly place, you know. And so when the shepherds were there, David was on their side, you know. And so he had news that the man was sharing his sheep, and he had made a big feast for it. And so David thought that now I want to solidify our relationship with this man. I want to write to him to even consider me in the feast that he's doing, even to consider maybe a goat or a sheep for me to celebrate with my troops also, you know. And so when the news got to Laban was like, who is this David? Everyone has just rise, and so he wants to be a leader and impose everything on us. And so that word went back to David, and David was angered. He was agitated. He felt like he was being betrayed, and he made a vow saying, if the sun will set, if I don't go and finish that man with everything that he has. Imagine, that was the anger in David's heart by then, you know. And he was ready and willingly. Actually, Abigail, if it were not for Abigail's intervention, because Abigail heard of the news from the servant, and I don't know how they took it out to her. Maybe they told him, boss amechoma, mwenye amechokoza ni ule mbaya. David amemaliza watu, anatumwagwa na anakamilisha. Siku wa Filistina alitumwa awakate vitu zao 100 ndo wapate mtoto wa Saul, na alifanya hivyo. Manzi akikama hapa ni kubaya, mimi hata sijui tutajificha wapi. And so Abigail acted out of that, you see. He herself knew of what was coming if David was to step in that city in terms of war. And so she prepares even more than what David asked. If you could read these verses. But one of the young men, that's verse 14, told Abigail, Nabal's wife, Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to greet your master, and rallied at them. Yet the men were very good to us, and we suffered no harm, and we did not miss anything when we were in the fields, as long as we went with them. They were a wall to us both by night and by day. All day were with them, keeping the sheep. Verse 17, Now therefore know this, and consider what you shall do, for harm is determined against our master and against all his house, and he is such a worthless man, and that one cannot speak to him. Hear this. Then Abigail made a haste and took 200 loaves and 2 skins of wine and 5 sheep already prepared and 5 shears of parched grain and 100 clusters of raisin and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on the donkeys. You see, as the present. Leave alone my husband. This is what you wanted. Just leave him. His name is even Folly. Manzi, don't do that which you intended to do. And Abigail finds David as he was coming down now to declare the war that he was ready for. You see, and he tells him all these things, and he brings sense. He kicks sense into David's mind. And David saw, it's useless fighting this guy, because he's full of himself, and David, he refocuses and focuses on the wife mainly, because he saw the wife is very, very wise. Reading from what the wife says, Now then, my Lord, as the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, because the Lord has restrained you from blood guilt, and from saving with your own hand, now then, let your enemies and those who seek to do evil to my Lord be as Nabal. You see? And if you read the story thereafter, when Nabal was in the feast, he saw no one was with him. He saw everyone had turned against him, even the wife, even the servants were like, you unajishasha na kasi bibi yako wewe, leo ungekuwa kichwa yako ingetolewa. Imagine. That's a shepherd, someone you have hired, you are paying, is telling you as his boss such like words. Even the wife confirms. And Nabal, because he couldn't repent, he couldn't swallow the bitter pill of pride, gets a heart attack. He saw his world has clambered. No one is on his aid, no one is on his side. You see, everyone has forsaken him, and he saw the end. And that's why he gets a heart attack and die. And that's how God fights David's battle. Because we read that afterwards David sends to Abigail, and Abigail comes and becomes David's wife number 2. Thank you, and God bless you, even as I hope that you put your battles squarely into God's hand, because with God there is victory. Thank you, and may God bless you.